So I'm curious when you're thinking about starting a story and you have all of these, you have Judith McNaught and you're in the back of your mind is, establishing historical romance, and then you have this series that you're working in. Do you generally start with the character? And if you do you start with the couples, or do you have one character, then you say who's going to be a good match for them?
Yeah. Usually I try to match the hero and heroine. I always start with the characters before even the plot, the anything. I have to match my hero and heroine. And sometimes like in the Book of Love series, especially as I introduced, because a hero will have some friends and the heroine will have her friends or family or whatever. And, sometimes as you sit and write, then one of these characters just leaps out at you and
Mm.
it gets right in your face and will tell you, I need to be the next hero or I need to be the next heroine. And sometimes they'll even say, and I want that girl or I want that guy as my romantic interest. And then that's a lot of fun because
Yeah.
they're just like talking in my head. And I actually had a point in the Book of Love series. We kept expanding it. So after we got to six books and we're going on to the seventh, and I had the one heroine set for this hero who was going to be the hero for book seven. And he was just like, oh no, I want her. I don't want her. I want her. And he would just not stop talking to me until I said, okay, you're gonna get it. And it was,
Wow.
yeah.
That's that must be a really good book to read because the
Yeah.
chemistry is there.
Yeah. Oh, and when you talk about openings, the meet cute, I think that I think that's one of my strengths is that meet cute moment. Just
Hmm.
because for me personally, this is what I used to love to read as
Hmm.
well in stories. And that one, here's the heroine. I have her. She's her family has given her the Book of Love, which is kind of like, like the traveling pants. It's just like every heroine, when you get that Book of Love, you're going to find your hero. You're about to get married. Well, she, this heroine did not. And she's trying to hide the Book of Love so that, you know, the family passes her over and will eventually give up and just hand it to somebody else. But as she's sneaking into her cousin's house to hide it at her cousin's house, she doesn't realize that the hero, because her cousin is away, her cousin and her husband are away, so the house should be empty. So she's just going to sneak in there and hide it. Doesn't realize that the hero, who happens to be a cousin of the other of her cousin's husband, he's there. He just got back from an assignment and he's actually sitting in his tub. He just got literally he's in the kitchen getting out of the tub as she walks in to hide it. So, and his line is basically, if I'd known I'd had company, I would have dressed because he's just standing there stark naked. So I like to start each
Yeah,
book
that's a
with,
strong meet cute.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So you have 60 books under your belt, if that's the right phrase. Do you feel that your writing has changed since you first started publishing?
I think it's grown more confident. It actually hasn't changed. I thought that it would have changed a lot more over the time, but it's more that it's grown more, I've grown more comfortable with who I am as a writer and the kind of books that I like to write and that I know that my readers like to read.
Hmm.
And that actually just goes to like branding me as, if you want a light, funny, historical romantic read, this is what you'll find, in my
Yeah.
books. And when I started out, I was just writing what I wanted to write, and I didn't think about the actual that kind of strong branding so that this is what readers know and they're always going to get this kind of read. Um, and part of it was that my brain only went in that direction of I want to write whether it's funny. Some of my books are not funny because that Dark Garden series is not a humorous series. It's a big, meaty, romantic world destruction kind of series. But basically, for most of my, 50 of those 60 books at least are humorous, and it's because that's where my brain was and the way I was wrote, and I think it actually helped me. I knew who I was as a writer and who I wanted
Mm,
to be as a writer from the start, and it
yeah.
helped build my audience, my readership as well. So
Oh, I admire that too because I'm sometimes guilty. I know that I end up writing specific types of books, but then on social media, I'll see authors posting about their book or reviewers posting about a book they loved. And I'm like, well, why can't I write that type of book too? And that type of book? And, all in the historical romance umbrella, but my books are more history driven and they're not that funny. And then I see people raving about a funny book and I'm like, I need more humor in my books. And it's just a terrible hamster wheel to get on of comparison. So
yeah,
I admire that you have learned to know who you are and be happy with that and stick with it.
yeah, yeah. And again, it was not anything that I consciously thought about, but now looking back, I'd said, maybe subconsciously I knew this is what I wanted and that's what and it worked out being the best thing that I could possibly have done.